I thought it got to be too messy. And I said it out loud. I think for a while, Club Shay Shay was like Wendy Williams with a weight set. Like, Club Shay Shay is getting messier and messier. It's almost like Wendy Williams didn't go anywhere. She just got a weight set.
Shannon better be glad that Shannon ain't interviewing Shannon on Club Shay Shay. This would be a clear diss towards Shannon's recent assault accusations.
The number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job.
I don't want to don't manipulate me.
I don't know that mercy. If you said that one more time, I'm going to choke the shit out of you when I see you.
That he is completely innocent of the allegations that have been levied against him. I can't sit here and speak to his innocence or guilt.
If you said that one more time, I'm going to choke the shit out of you when I see you.
I saw Stephen A. Smith kind of talking shit.
I done told y'all that this is a shakedown of the highest order. And to be frank with you, I think that the entire legal team, what is his name, Busby? I think that they all need to be investigated.
NFL Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe is facing a $50 million lawsuit in Clark County from a woman who claims he raped her.
Shannon Sharpe is breaking his silence on the $50 million lawsuit from an ex-girlfriend accusing him of SA. According to US Today, Pro Football Hall of Famer and media personality Shannon Sharpe is facing a lawsuit accusing him.
In the 13-page complaint, the woman, identified only as Jane Doe, says Sharpe raped her multiple times during their 2-year so-called rocky consensual relationship. She also claims he recorded the encounters without her consent. The woman says she met Sharpe at a gym in Los Angeles, and that's when he made multiple advances toward her. She claims he asked her to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but later dropped it when she refused.
She also claims he threatened to kill her, beat her up, and recorded their sexual encounters without her consent. The alleged victim admits to being more than 30 years younger than the 56-year-old star and says she met him at an LA gym in 2023. Shannon Sharpe firing back at an ex who says she was raped by the Hall of Fame tight end several times at the end of last year and the beginning of 2025. In the 13-page complaint obtained by ET, she filed under the pseudonym Jane Doe, but in this scathing denial, Sharpe's legal team calls her out by name. We won't repeat it, but they're dubbing the suit a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. They released a series of explicit text messages that they say prove this was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, sexual language, and fantasy scenarios.
Yo, imagine this. You're Shannon Sharpe. You've got one of the most viral podcasts on the planet. You just dropped a Club Shay Shay episode that hit nearly 90 million views. Sponsors are practically throwing $100 million deals at you. Life? Golden. And then, boom! DL Hughley hops on a mic, rips into you like it's roast night at the Apollo, and suddenly, you're not the interviewer anymore. You're the headline. That's right. Overnight, Shannon went from sitting across celebs dishing gossip to becoming the main dish. Allegations dropped, texts leaked, audio surfaced, sponsors froze. And DL, he didn't just call Shannon out, he dragged him, flipped him over, and gave the man a full public audit. Now you'd think this was just another celebrity scandal on the internet's carousel of chaos. But nope, this one hits different, because this ain't just about one man's bad decisions. It's about power. It's about how fast a carefully built image can unravel, and it's about how someone like DL Hughley, who's been peeping the game from the sidelines.
I'm letting the successful black men out there know that they are coming through you, through your dick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you got freaky better.
Because this is freaky.
Yeah, we seen it.
Yeah, Michelle told us.
She said it. Yeah.
Michelle told us that he was freaky.
Finally said, enough of the BS. See, DL didn't wake up one day and decide to throw shade. He's been warning folks about the direction Shannon's been going in for a minute. But this time, it's not just about gossip or beef. This time, it's lawsuits, audio threats, million-dollar contracts, and maybe, just maybe, a reckoning for how media stars move when the cameras stop rolling. So buckle up, because we're not just unpacking a scandal, we're diving into the mess behind the microphone. From freaky texts to gatekeeper whispers, from ESPN fallout to podcast empire meltdowns, this is the takedown no one saw coming, but DL did. And trust me, what comes next It's wild. Let's go there. So let's talk about the moment DL Hughley stepped into the ring and didn't pull a single punch. This wasn't just a random jab. Nah, this was a straight-up public drag session that hit harder than any debate Shannon's ever had on air.
What is you doing, Unc? You ain't got no business out here with no 20-year-old white girl, with no 20-year-old period. Nothing wrong with being no freak, but be a freak and it makes sense.
It started with that viral line, "Shannon better be glad Shannon ain't interviewing Shannon on Club Shay Shay." And bruh, the internet ate that UP. In just one sentence, DL flipped the whole script, basically saying if Shannon had to sit across from himself under his own scrutiny, asking the kind of messy questions he throws at other celebs, he wouldn't survive the interview. And that wasn't even the wildest part. DL went full unfiltered. He clowned Shannon for using Club Shay Shay like it's the black TMZ, dragging other black men just to boost views. He compared Shannon to Wendy Williams with a weight set. Savage, right? But it wasn't just for laughs. Hughley meant business. Because here's the thing. DL's been side-eyeing Shannon's content for a while. Long before the lawsuit dropped, long before the texts got leaked, DL had already peeped how Club Shay Shay was starting to feel less like sports commentary and more like chaos for clicks.
What you think she was gonna do? She charging $25K a cheek, and it ain't no cheeks. No cheeks, and she ain't got no lips. She probably whistle when she talk.
And now, with serious allegations in the mix, he's doubling down. He's pointing fingers at the hypocrisy. Like, bro, you spend your whole career calling out athletes, entertainers, public figures, talking morals and respect. But the moment your own dirt hits the fan, you want the world to give you grace? DL's whole vibe is, keep the same energy you gave others. If you can judge them on national TV, don't get soft when the spotlight swings your way. And it's not just about Shannon. This moment is bigger. DL is holding up a mirror to all these media celebs who build platforms off exposing others, but panic when the skeletons come knocking on their door. This wasn't shade. This was a full-on eclipse. But here's where it gets even messier, because behind all this smoke and viral sound bites, there's a whole history of whispers about how Shannon even got here. Let's rewind the tape for a second, because before Shannon Sharpe became the face of viral interviews and awkward celebrity moments,
I know an auntie right now with all ass 49. Got more dimples than a golf ball. You will love it over there.
He was a straight-up NFL legend, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, undisputed king of hot takes alongside Skip Bayless. The man earned his stripes on the field and in the booth. But somewhere between leaving the field and launching Club Shay Shay, Shannon made a pivot, one that's now being picked apart like leftover wings at a barbershop debate. His podcast started blowing up, celebs rolled through. Cat Williams dropped the most iconic interview of the year. Ratings soared. Then came the headlines. Shannon was fielding offers for a $100 million podcast deal. That's Joe Rogan-type money, legacy-securing stuff. But here's the plot twist nobody was ready for. Some folks in the industry started whispering that Shannon didn't get to the top on talent alone, that he made a so-called secret oath with the infamous gatekeepers. You know, the unseen shot callers in entertainment who can make or break your career overnight. Now, this might sound like conspiracy talk, until you remember that Cat Williams basically hinted at this on Shannon's own show.
You should have knew as soon as she said put a big black baby in her what time it was. She don't even want the baby to grow. She want the baby to come out your size soon as she have it.
Yeah, Cat clowned Shannon on his own podcast, saying he had an unnatural allegiance to losers. It didn't hit like a joke. It hit like a coded message. Cat talked about selling your soul. He said some people in Hollywood don't get famous. They get chosen. That deals are made before the fame shows up. He even name-dropped Kevin Hart, implying that when you're too clean, too protected, too fast-tracked, you probably signed something the public never saw. So when folks hear Shannon's name tied to leaked texts, wild bedroom behavior, and explosive lawsuits, they start connecting dots. Was Shannon's rise part of a bigger game? Did the same people who helped him up decide to let him fall? Because in this world, there's never a free lunch, and the gatekeepers, they always collect. But Shannon's not just being called out for who backed him. The heat really turned up once the lawsuit dropped. And trust, what's in those court documents? Way darker than just industry favors.
My lawyers are telling, the legal team is telling me that we can't authenticate it if he said that, and he's not denying it.
All right, now let's get into the part that really lit the internet on fire, the lawsuit. because this isn't just some petty drama. We're talking about a $50 million bombshell that landed straight on Shannon Sharpe's doorstep. Enter Gabriela Zuniga, also known as Gabby. Young, social media savvy, and according to her lawsuit, caught up in a seriously dark situation. She says her relationship with Shannon started when she was just 19 years old, and he was already in his mid-50s. That alone raised a few eyebrows. But then she dropped the real shocker: accusations of being manipulated, controlled, and worse. Gabby claims that after trying to cut ties with Shannon following an IG Live scandal, he didn't just show up, he allegedly forced himself on her. Not once, twice. She even says he refused to use protection and crossed boundaries she clearly said no to. Now, before anyone starts saying it's all just he said, she said, let's talk about receipts. Because Shannon's legal team fired back by leaking explicit texts between him and Gabby. We're talking wild race play fantasies, dog collars, and yeah, things we can't say on YouTube without getting demonetized. But here's the kicker: leaking those texts might have done more harm than good.
He did not mean it. It was in the heat of the moment, in the middle of an argument.
Instead of clearing Shannon's name, they painted a picture of a freaky, high-control relationship that fans weren't ready for. And those leaked audio clips? Way worse. Shannon allegedly threatens to choke the F out of her if she keeps saying a certain word. When she says, "I don't want that," his reply, "Yes, you do. You don't have a choice." Bruh, that's not just messy, that's terrifying. Now, Shannon's team is calling it all a shakedown. They say Gabby and her lawyer, Tony Busby, are chasing a payday and using a heavily edited video to make him look guilty. Shannon even dared them to drop the full 10-minute tape if they've got nothing to hide, but Gabby walked away from a $10 million settlement offer. So you gotta ask, why would she do that if she didn't think she had something even more powerful? And just when it looked like the drama hit its peak, Shannon's business empire started crumbling, one brand deal at a time. Now here's where things go from personal drama to full-on professional disaster. Because the moment those allegations hit the timeline and the audio clips started circling, Shannon Sharpe didn't just face backlash, he faced a financial meltdown. Let's be real. Shannon wasn't just a former NFL player hosting a podcast for fun. He was on the brink of signing one of the biggest media deals in sports podcast history. Word on the street, he was about to lock in $100 million for Club Shay Shay. That's serious generational wealth. But the moment the allegations dropped,
if the former football star would proceed with legal action if the accuser were to drop her lawsuit. And Sharpe's attorney says he does not know what Sharpe would do in that scenario, but says his recommendation would be to move forward.
All those big money conversations, dead in the water. Multiple companies pulled out immediately. Advertisers started freezing inventory. The same brands that couldn't stop calling a week ago suddenly needed time to reevaluate. And that wasn't even the worst part. Shannon's co-hosting gig at ESPN paused. His on-air appearances, quiet. Behind the scenes, ESPN execs were reportedly scrambling, trying to figure out if keeping him around was worth the heat, because this wasn't some off-field controversy from the NFL days. This was happening right now, while his face is tied to billion-dollar broadcast deals and primetime debates. Sponsors don't play about image. You get hit with serious allegations and don't have a squeaky clean response, they vanish, fast. And it's not just about the legal stuff. The leaked texts and audio alone made some companies run for cover, especially the ones with family-friendly branding. Word is, one sporting goods brand and a major insurance company both suspended their endorsement deals within hours of the story going viral. According to media analysts, if this all snowballs, Shannon could lose $10 million or more just from endorsements alone, not to mention the PR agencies, corporate partners, and charity orgs quietly backing out. And here's the irony. Club Shay Shay was the empire he built post-football.
Shannon Sharpe's willingness to pay is not an admission of anything that he did wrong. It was a willingness to pay for the protection of his family and himself.
The thing that made him a voice, not just a player. Now, that empire's on life support. All because receipts dropped faster than his lawyers could hit deny. But while the business world slammed its doors, the culture war was just getting started. Because social media split right down the middle. So while Shannon's lawyers were dropping statements and his sponsors were ghosting him, the internet was doing what it does best, taking sides and throwing hands. The hashtags came quick. On one side, you had the hashtag #DefendShannon. folks claiming this was just another case of a black man being targeted at the peak of his success. They argued the timing was too perfect, right before his $100 million deal, right after viral success, right when he was leveling up. It's a setup, they said, a smear job. But the other side, they weren't buying it. Accountability now started trending, with people saying that if Shannon's been out here preaching discipline and respect on national TV, then he better stand on it when it's his name in the headlines. Even Stephen A. Smith, who usually rides hard for his on-air crew, came out with a soft tiptoe response.
He's whacked though, because he deleted what he was saying. See, that's why it's whacked. Don't do that. Don't screenshot shit once you delete yours off the text thread. See, that's the shit I don't like, man.
He didn't defend Shannon. He didn't condemn him either. Just a vague, I wasn't there, I don't know anything. Which, let's be honest, says a lot without saying much at all. Then you had former NFL players chiming in, some backing Shannon, others low-key distancing themselves. One of the most talked about quotes came from Bart Scott, who clapped back on social, basically saying, "If you can break down a football play in 30 seconds on live TV, you can explain what happened in 2016 just as fast." Boom. And then came the women's advocacy groups. Several of them started publicly calling out ESPN, questioning why Shannon was still associated with the network, even temporarily. They weren't asking for proof, they were demanding a pause. Not a judgment, not a cancellation, just a hard look at how these organizations handle allegations before courtrooms get involved. And that's the key here, the rules have changed. We're living in a post-Touch Me Too world, where silence feels like guilt, and every public figure is being held to a new standard. Saying wait for due process isn't enough anymore. Audiences want transparency, they want receipts, they want real-time accountability, and just when it seemed like things couldn't get more complicated, the internet dug up whispers about something deeper, something that goes beyond just Shannon and Gabby. All right, now buckle up, because this is where the story leaves the courtroom and dives straight into the Hollywood shadows. See, the deeper this scandal went, the more people started whispering.
Sharpe's attorney says his client's accuser is making, quote, a maliciously false claim, and Sharpe's attorney is promising a lawsuit to, quote, hold her accountable.
This ain't just a lawsuit, this feels like a setup. And the theory? It's wild. Some folks think Gabby isn't moving alone, that she might be the public face of a bigger plan, a distraction, or worse, a pawn being played by the same mysterious insiders Shannon might have once aligned himself with. Let's connect the dots. First off, Shannon allegedly offered Gabby $10 million to settle this thing quietly. According to leaked info, both sides were close to sealing the deal. No trial, no headlines, just a check and silence. But then out of nowhere, boom, Gabby walks away from the money and hits Shannon with a $50 million lawsuit instead. Why would someone turn down $10 million unless they were holding something big? Or unless someone else told her not to take it? That's when Mace and Cameron jumped in with their viral podcast moment. They flat out said what a lot of people were thinking, but too scared to tweet. Mace joked, "That deal didn't go through because the pimp wanted his cut." And while he said it playfully, the subtext was loud. Someone else might be pulling the strings. And that's not the only theory floating. Remember the rumors about industry gatekeepers keeping blackmail material? Stuff like freak-off tapes, shady footage, incriminating texts, all saved for moments like this? Well, after Shannon's lawsuit dropped, the internet started pointing back to Diddy's vaults, whispering about a bigger network of handlers who build people up just to break them down when the time's right.
I want to put my tongue in your asshole, and then I want to marry you.
So, is Gabby being used as leverage? Is this lawsuit really about what happened in that bedroom? Or is it about power, punishment, and payback? Look, nobody's saying Shannon's clean. The receipts? Messy as hell. But it's hard to ignore the timing. The canceled podcast deal, the leaked audio, the walk away from $10 million. Something about this doesn't sit right. And Shannon's not just waiting it out anymore. He's swinging back, legally and loudly. By now, Shannon Sharpe had two choices: lay low and pray this storm passes, or come out swinging. And if you know anything about Shannon, you already know what he did. He didn't just deny the allegations, he filed a countersuit. Yep. Straight up hit back with a defamation claim, saying this whole thing is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake him down. According to his camp, Gabby and her lawyer Tony Busby aren't seeking justice. They're just chasing a fat payday. But this ain't just a legal move, it's a PR strategy. Shannon's pushing the narrative that he's being targeted, not exposed. And to prove it, he dared Gabby's team to release the full 10-minute video instead of the edited 30-second clip that's allegedly being used to frame him. His exact words, "I don't have the tape. If I did, I'd post it myself." Bro basically challenged the world to run the full footage. Now here's where it gets tricky. Countersuing sounds strong, but in court, it's a double-edged sword.
That somebody like Shannon Sharpe be on the talking like this.
Because filing a countersuit means opening yourself up to discovery, text messages, emails, witnesses, all of it. If there are skeletons in Shannon's closet, this lawsuit could yank the whole damn door off the hinges. And legal experts are already warning, this might backfire. If Gabby's team has more receipts, they'll come out during discovery. And that could turn this whole thing from civil mess into criminal territory real quick. Still, Shannon's not backing down. He's making it clear. He won't be blackmailed and he won't stay quiet. His attorneys are pushing for expedited depositions, trying to get this thing thrown out fast. It's a race. Clear his name before the media, the sponsors, and the fans all slam the door shut. But outside the courtroom, the internet's watching with popcorn in hand. Because when a public figure sues back, it's war, and nobody gets out clean. And as all this unfolds, corporations, fans, even charities are deciding where they stand. Because this ain't just about guilt or innocence anymore, it's about image, influence, and how long you can hold the spotlight before it burns. Shannon Sharpe made a career out of critiquing others, but now he's the one under the microscope. DL Hughley didn't just throw shade, he sparked a deeper convo about accountability, power, and how fast the game changes when you become the headline. Whether this ends in courtroom vindication or a career collapse, one thing's clear. The era of hiding behind fame is done. Because in 2025, silence doesn't protect you, it exposes you.